Welcome in. You've been seeing the ads, right? Those crazy low prices on just about everything.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to miss them.
Well, today we're diving deep into the world of Temu.
It'd be interesting. A lot to unpack there.
We've got a ton of your questions and some really interesting articles to dig into.
Let's do it.
Starting with those tactics, flashing countdown timers, limited time discounts, only 3 items left.
Right, right.
It all feels a bit, well, manipulative, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you'd be right to think that. It's a classic example of what we call dark patterns.
Dark pattern.
Basically, it's all about design choices
Yeah.
that, they're crafted to nudge you, the user, towards a specific action.
Like buying that avocado slicer I definitely don't need.
Exactly. That ticking clock, those limited quantities, it triggers this fear of missing out.
So it's not just me then. I'm not just easily swayed by a good deal.
No, not at all. The psychology behind it is actually fascinating. That scarcity tactic, it makes something seem inherently more desirable.
Wow. So how do we fight back against these dark patterns?
Awareness is a big one. Just knowing they exist makes you less susceptible.
Makes sense.
Setting spending limits can be helpful too.
Yeah.
And ever heard of the 24-hour rule?
No, actually, I haven't.
Basically, if you see something tempting, you give yourself a day to think it over.
Oh, interesting.
Stops those impulse buys. And there are actually browser extensions that can, like, block those manipulative pop-ups and timers.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, what about all the glowing reviews? Is there anything we should watch out for?
Yeah, reviews. Always a tricky one. One of the articles you sent actually highlighted some concerning trends with Temu reviews.
Like what?
A lot of them seem to come from accounts that are very new, haven't purchased anything else,
Okay.
and they're overwhelmingly positive, which, raises a red flag for me.
So how do we, navigate this sea of potentially fake reviews?
It's all about those critical thinking skills.
Right.
Look for reviews with specific details, both good and bad. Did they actually explain why it was great, or were they just like 5 stars, amazing?
Right, the old too good to be true.
Exactly. And check multiple sources, see if those rave reviews are consistent across the board.
Okay, so we've got the marketing tactics, the reviews.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something that really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah.
Temu's app permissions.
Right.
One of the sources mentioned that they require access to, well, a lot of information.
Yeah.
Is that normal?
That's a great question, and it's something we definitely need to dissect a bit.
Okay.
It's true that lots of apps ask for permissions these days.
All right.
But the sheer scope of what Temu requests, it's unusual, even for e-commerce.
So what are we talking then?
Like location data, access to your contacts, camera, microphone, you name it.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That does seem a bit excessive. What could they possibly need all that for?
Well, their claim is, it's to personalize your experience, improve recommendations, and make things like visual search work better.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
let's be realistic for a second. That much data collection, it opens the door to some potential privacy concerns.
Yeah, I was going to say, personalized recommendations are one thing, but...
But imagine, right, your location data, your browsing history, your contact list even. It all adds up.
It paints a pretty detailed picture, doesn't it?
It really does. And in the wrong hands, well, that information's a gold mine. Targeted advertising, and not always the most ethical kind.
Okay, yeah, that is a little unsettling, especially, one of the sources mentioned that Temu's parent company, Pinduoduo,
Right, Pinduoduo.
they had their app temporarily removed from the Google Play Store, didn't they? Concerns about malware, data collection practices.
It's definitely worth noting.
Does that connection raise any red flags for you?
I mean, Temu and Pinduoduo, they're technically separate entities, but it just highlights how important it is to be cautious. With any app, really, but especially one with a, shall we say, questionable track record.
Good point.
Always read the fine print. Understand the permissions you're giving. And if something feels off...
Trust your gut.
Exactly.
Good advice for, well, pretty much everything in life, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked tactics, reviews, data privacy. But now for the big question. How can Temu offer these crazy low prices? One of the articles called it drop shipping on steroids. Is that accurate?
I mean, it's a bit of an oversimplification, but
But it gets the point across.
it gets at a key difference, yeah, between Temu and more traditional e-commerce giants. Think Amazon, for example.
Okay, so what's different?
Amazon, they're like a massive warehouse, right? They buy in bulk from all these manufacturers, store everything until you order it. Temu, they operate on a much leaner model.
What do you mean?
They don't really have those giant warehouses full of stuff.
Oh, interesting. So how does that work then?
They're more like a middleman. They connect you directly to the manufacturers, mostly in China.
So when I order, like, say, those really cheap headphones.
They're probably shipping straight from the factory.
Yep. Wow. So they cut out the middleman. Literally.
Exactly. No need for huge storage facilities, less overhead, fewer employees.
Makes sense.
It's a lean approach.
Yeah.
Allows them to offer those rock-bottom prices.
Okay, but like with anything, there are always downsides, right?
Right.
What should we be aware of?
Well, first off, shipping times. Your order's often coming directly from China.
So be prepared to wait a while.
Yeah. Longer than you're used to, probably, with Amazon Prime.
Makes sense. What else?
Quality control. That's another big one.
Oh, right.
When you buy from, a huge company, they've got their own standards. Reputation on the line.
Okay.
With Temu, you're dealing directly with individual manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency can be,
A bit hit or miss.
yeah, that amazing deal. Might be a dud.
Good point.
And here's another layer, too. An ethical one.
Oh,
Working conditions.
yeah.
In those factories. One of the articles you sent, it actually talked about that.
Yeah, that's something I think about a lot, actually.
The true cost of those low prices. It's often hidden, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But, I mean, Temu's still making money, right?
Actually, that's where things get even more interesting.
Oh.
Several sources indicate that Temu is currently operating at a loss.
Wait, really? They're losing money.
On a lot of sales, yeah.
How does that even work? Are they just giving things away?
It's a strategy. Loss leader pricing. Attract customers with those crazy deals, even if it means losing money short term.
And hope to make a profit later on.
Exactly.
So it's a long game. But how long can they actually keep that up?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. They're betting on massive growth, hoping to acquire enough customers that...
That they'll eventually turn things around.
Exactly. And they're spending a ton of money on advertising to make that happen.
Well, they're everywhere I look, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So losing money on products, but making it up in advertising.
Not quite that simple. Remember those games they have on the app?
The ones where you, like, get your friends to sign up for credits and stuff.
Exactly. Addictive little things, aren't they?
They are. I'll admit. I've played a few.
They're designed to keep you engaged. You become a free marketer for them, basically.
Wow. Gamifying the shopping experience.
And it's working.
It really is. So what do you think? Is this model, is it sustainable? Is Temu here to stay?
Or will they just be a flash in the pan? Yeah, it's a tough one. They've definitely disrupted things, the e-commerce world. But where it goes from here, who knows?
So what are the key factors then? What should we be watching for?
Well, can they keep this up? Right. It's this crazy growth.
While still,
While still addressing the issues, the shipping times, quality control.
Right. And what if
And the ethical sourcing, of course.
Right. Can they make it work long term?
That's the good question.
Yeah.
Because what happens when the advertising money dries up?
It will, right.
Yeah.
Eventually.
It has to. Can they find other ways to actually be profitable?
It's a gamble for sure. And what about us, the consumers? We get drawn in by the low prices, but
At what cost, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Are we so focused on cheap stuff that we're willing to just ignore all of this, the ethical concerns, the data privacy
It's like we're part of this grand experiment.
we didn't sign up for?
Exactly.
So, okay. What do we do? How do we be like more informed consumers in this whole Temu ultra-fast fashion world?
Knowledge is power, right?
It's true.
The more you know about
Right.
how these companies operate, what they value,
Yeah.
the better decisions you can make.
Right.
So don't just click buy without thinking. Think about what goes into that price tag.
The true cost.
The true cost, exactly.
It's about finding that balance, right? Affordability, ethics, convenience.
Responsibility. Don't forget responsibility.
Right, of course. It's a lot to juggle, but it's important.
It is. Every purchase. It's like a vote. You're voting for the kind of world you want.
Wow. That is a powerful thought. Well, we've covered a lot today. Sneaky marketing tactics, the ethics of ultra-low prices. Turns out Temu's a lot more complicated than it looks from those catchy little ads.
Definitely more than meets the eye.
It is. So, listeners, do your research, think critically, and choose wisely. Thanks for diving deep with us.